I want to share with you guys, and I pray to God that you can learn from my mistakes. And as Solomon said in the Bible, he said, all you're gaining, gain understanding, right? Hope deferred creates a sickly heart, but hope restored is a tree of life. And I had developed a condition called insulin resistance. I didn't know that 93% of Americans suffer from this. Now, you might be thinking, well, what is insulin resistance, right? What is it? What are signs of it? Let me show you my struggles, right? This was me. And I mean, this was me almost 13 years ago, guys, in Seattle at a seafood restaurant that I absolutely love. I was 240 plus pounds here. And currently I'm like between 180, 185, and I don't step on a scale anymore, okay? Oh, awesome, Katie. And so I don't care, because once I've corrected my insulin resistance, body fat falls off. Now, if you're lean, you'll actually put on muscle. It's crazy. I've actually gained muscle and taken off fat. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Now, that was me. And what was I doing? Now, what I find, and I used to give this advice, so if any of you on here have ever been told by someone like myself or another healthcare practitioner to move more and to eat less, would you please type 1 into the chat for me, please? Okay, now we're going to talk about that. We're going to explain this, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be pretty shocked when you look at this, right? Now, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Sarah Wellness. Thank you, Ticklish. Most of you have been told to do that. That's known as calories in and calories out, right? Thank you, Priska. Thank you, user 504. And so we've been told to do this, right? Well, let's take a look at this. Let's say I'm going to the gym. I'm working out. I'm walking. I'm doing all these things. I'm spending 2,000 calories a day, right? But let's say I'm only eating 1,500. That's a 500 calorie deficit. Thank you, Red Lancer. Now, I was restricting calories because I needed to lose fat. I didn't care about weight. I wanted to lose body fat. I wanted to put on muscle, okay? Now, I will assume that for you as well, all right? But let's just say that I cut those calories like that at a 25% reduction, 500 a day, times 1 week's 3,500 calories. That's equivalent to 1 pound of body fat, isn't it? Okay. Now, if I weigh 200 pounds, I don't, but for simple math, if I did, and I did that for 200 weeks, would I weigh 0 in 200 weeks by losing 1 pound of fat a week? I've never had someone get that wrong. We all understand that at a certain point, our body says, Dr. Kenny, you're not very smart. So we're going to drop your metabolism to 1,400, your metabolic output, and because you're only eating 1,500 calories to leave some in the kitty so you don't kill yourself. Because if you die, we die. Right? The power in you dies. And I was like, wow, did you know? Now, this is going to blow your mind. But they did a study on this in 1919, 106 years ago. And if you've had any of these symptoms, and I had every one of them, please type me into the chat. So they found that these people were tired. They found that they were hungry. They found they were hangry. I was like, man, they must have made that commercial based off me. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just totally fine, and all of a sudden somebody says something, you're like, bah, you know, and you just kind of lose it, or maybe you don't lose it, but you want to lose it, right? And I was like, oh my God. And then they found that they had sarcopenia. Now, if you're not a healthcare professional, you're probably not going to know what sarcopenia means, but sarcopenia means muscle wasting. And every time in my past that I would try to cut, calories to lose fat, I would lose muscle. Now, when you do that, the other thing that they found, there was a reduction in the heart output, the cardiac stroke output by 20%. Now, I had all of those. Now, if you had any of those, please type me in the chat. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, user. Now, this is a book that I recommend everyone get by Dr. Benjamin Bikman. This guy is incredible. He is a world leading expert in insulin resistance. He ran the first lab in North America on GLP-1 drugs, okay, back in the late 90s. Crazy stuff, information. This guy's super genius. And he said that the research shows that when we restrict calories, and I'm not anti-calorie, calories are energy, but he said when we restrict them, that leads to insulin resistance. Now, what are signs of insulin resistance? Number one, and I had most of these, belly fat. Skin tags, I had no clue, guys. Also on top of that, eye floaters. I was having to pee all the time. So kidney issues, and that's because your kidneys are trying to excrete all the sugar out of your system that your insulin can't get into the cells. Also, joint pain like arthritis. They were showing high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Man, I was tired after I would eat. I was needing to frequently take naps in the middle of the day. I was falling asleep earlier at night. I was starting to get some insomnia where you can't sleep. Also, too, are you always thinking about your next meal? I had no idea how much I was struggling with when I was going to eat again. Like it was below my consciousness until I started a protocol I'm going to share with you. And I had no clue. I mean, it blows my mind how much that I literally was focused on food and didn't even know it. So these are all just some of the signs. Now, what is it exactly? What does insulin resistance do, right? Well, insulin's made by your pancreas in your body, and it's absolutely necessary for life, right? But too much of anything is not good. So let's say it's the weekend and I don't know, you drink something to make you change your mood and behavior, right? By the pool or whatever, okay? You start, the first time ever you do it, you need a little bit. Then you need more and more and more. Guys, I apologize. I've got 2 French bulldogs and the one's snoring over there. I'm not a very good teacher, apparently. He's already sleeping in my class. Right? The other one doesn't snore, but this guy snores like a freight train. So anyway, but the more you need more each time that you drink it. Does that make sense? And that's because your cells become resistant to it. Well, this is what happens with insulin. And when the cells become resistant, they stop listening and they stop letting insulin activate to open up and get the blood sugar into the cells. And that leads to all kinds of other issues we're going to share with you, okay? So this was me, and I literally, this is mind-blowing, but this was me, God bless my wife. When the Bible says when you find the right woman, they're more valuable than rubies and gold. Hey, celiac, this was me last year for 2 months in the hospital, nearly 2 months. My appendix ruptured. Now you might be saying, what does insulin have to do with your appendix and your immune system? Check this out. Did you know that 100 years ago, people consumed as much sugar as they do today? Now this is 100 years ago. They consumed as much sugar in their life as our children do today by the time they're 8 years of age, medical research shows. I was blown away by this. Now here's what happens. When you eat, you spike your blood sugar, which spikes insulin. Insulin pulls that sugar out of the system and puts it into your liver, into your muscle, into fat storage in your cells, okay? It's like a key. Insulin acts like a key, like this to your home, and your home is gonna be those cells, okay? So if we have the front door key, we can open the cells. Makes sense, right? So here's what happens. But when you eat, you're telling your body to store. So when insulin's high, it tells your body to store fat and it tells your cells to grow because you have an abundance of fuel. Makes sense? Okay? When insulin is low, the fat's gotta go. You actually burn the fat as energy. Is this making sense, guys? Thank you, Megan. So now, but also when insulin's low, your hormones reset, like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. I've been studying this for years. My testosterone's off the charts now, okay? I wake up like I'm 20. I didn't. And I'm like, this is crazy. Now, here's what happens. When you eat and you spike insulin, the research shows that the body robs Peter to pay Paul. So it's got to take energy from somewhere else, and it drops our immune system function by 50% for up to 2 hours. I was like, oh my goodness. Now I was eating like I told people to do to keep my metabolism up. Have you been told to eat 3 meals a day and 2 to 3 snacks a day to keep your metabolism up? If you've been told to do that, please type 5 in the chat for me, please, okay? Now, I'll wait for you guys to do that. Thank you, Damad. Thank you, Shelly. Canada, I love it. I was just in Toronto. Yeah, you know, that's a great question, Jonathan, about what you're asking. And it definitely, because it's so sweet, it causes the body, they found, to create more insulin. It doesn't necessarily release it then. But later on, when you eat, it does create an increase. And what they found is it destroys the gut biome and the gut health, which causes inflammation and imbalance, which causes weight gain and autoimmune and all kinds of other things. And I'm going to explain that as we go, but that's a great question, by the way. Guys, I'll try to answer your questions as we're live. If I miss them, I'll try to get back to you with an answer. I don't always catch them. I just want to make sure I'm respectful for everybody, right? So here's what happens. Yeah, absolutely you can, but it's not, what I'm going to teach you isn't about losing weight. It might look like that, but it's about correcting insulin resistance, right? So here's what happens. If you're eating every couple hours, every time you eat, you spike your insulin. And insulin's telling your body to store fat, which then is shutting down your immune system. And in men, it reduces testosterone by 33% for up to 8 hours. Now, how many of you have been told, right? So if we're eating all day, we're keeping insulin high. You guys follow me? Now, how many of you have been told, what's the most important meal of your day? Would you guys type that in the chat for me, please? Yeah, hypoglycemia is a sign of insulin resistance, by the way, and we're going to explain that. See, everybody knows, right? Thank you guys so much for answering and being proactive here, right? Break fast. And I've got a hard stop today, guys, at about 9:35, okay, just so you know. So I'm going to answer questions and do all kinds of things as I get through this. But yeah, Break Fast was created by a company to sell you cereal, Logs of Kel, in the 70s. So they took the word break fast, to breakfast. And whatever you eat first is breaking your fast. So when you wake up in the morning, you fasted all night. Your body has actually turned body fat into ketones for fuel. There's two types of fuel systems that your body can run on, ketones or glucose. Okay, when you eat, you're sugar burning. Thank you, Ruby. But when you're not eating, you're actually turning fat into ketones. And ketones actually fix your brain. There's research on this. That's why people, when they get into a nutritional ketosis, like we do with this protocol I'm going to share with you, they get tremendous energy and brain function. And there's way less inflammation making ketones than there is burning sugar. So when you wake up in the morning, if you start keeping and you keep fasting, okay, you burn more body fat because your insulin's low, right? Now, insulin is like a key, like I was saying earlier. So if you have closets in your home, right, those closets get stuffed with things you don't want, right, to declutter your body. Well, that's what the body does with sugar. It stores that in your fat reserves once you become insulin resistant. And it stays there, and those cells stay big and plump until you drive insulin down. And when you drive it down, they release that. And your body uses that as fuel. Isn't that crazy? Now, have you ever asked yourself, right? Here's the thing that blew my mind. What do you think the #1 fast food restaurant on the planet is? Type that in the chat for me, please, would you? Here's another book that you guys want to freaking get, okay? This is by Dr. Robert Lustig. Thank you so much for the love, Ruby. This guy is super genius, right? I always try to surround myself by people far smarter than me. Okay, I want to be the dumbest guy in the room, to be honest with you. And this guy went to Cornell to get it, he got his undergrad degree at MIT. He got his medical degree at Cornell, and he also is an attorney. And he stated, I was like many of you guys, I thought, John, the Golden Arches, just like all of you guys, right? Please read, get these books, guys. They're amazing. I have nothing to do with these books, okay? They're just incredible. They've got all the research sharing with you what I'm teaching you, okay? And thank you. Great stuff, isn't it, Michelle? Now, here's what happens, right? Is this, he stated it's not that. He said it's our public schools food system. I was shocked. And so they're starting our children off in the National Food Program for breakfast with a bowl of loops of fruit and orange juice. Now, look, I used to make juice. I used to cold press my juice. And the reason I did that would maintain the enzymes so you get more nutritional, functional value out of it. But the beautiful thing of God is God, when he makes a carbohydrate, he wraps it in fiber, right? So think of an apple, how it has a peel and pulp in it. And when we remove that, all you have left is water and sugar. And that's why if you eat one apple, you're satiated because there's fiber. And fiber keeps your blood sugar low and it makes you full. But if you remove that, it might take 8 to 10 apples to make the same juice. Do you get it? And so here's what happens. This was mind-blowing to me. Now, there was a guy, and I'm going to make a point real quick, and I promise you I'm going to bring it full circle, okay? Because you need to understand this. There was a guy named Plato, thousands of years before Jesus, and he said, those that tell stories rule the world. What is the black box that hangs on your wall in your living room called? It's a tell a what? Would you guys type that in for me? Now think about this, right? We're going to touch on Also, guys, cholesterol, how to read your cholesterol panel, blood pressure, all of those things, okay? So everybody knows the answer, right? Then they tell you that it's programming. Well, my question is, who's paying for the programming, right? And he goes into in depth on this in his book. It's really profound. Now, what's very interesting is this. So now that we know that, right? I just watched the Super Bowl. I'm sure many of you did. And I love the commercials, right? Genius. And they always use smacks and food around their entertainment, right? Around their commercial, because those two things create life. Now, as a kid, when I was wee little, I'm 47, my dad, until I was about three years of age, smoked cigarettes, okay? And he used to smoke Camel cigarettes. And I remember as a little guy thinking, what does that got to do with smoking a cigarette? Well, on a conscious level, nothing. But a subliminal message where you buy from, let me explain. You see, in a show that you're watching regular television, they don't show them having smacks, but they show them after the words going, and your mind says, I do this, I get the hump. You guys get it. Don't believe me? Ba-da-ba-ba. You guys loving it? Winston tastes good like a what? How do you spell relief? Where's the, you can't have just one, I guarantee. Once you pop, you can't. Do you guys get it? Now, those companies, check this out. Why is this so powerful? Well, those companies figured out that you become addicted to sugar. So much so that they had studies with rats where they had the rats, okay? The rats were addicted to cocaine. They placed sugar water in the environment, and when they did this, once the rats tasted the sugar water, which was 8 times more addictive than the cocaine, they never went back to cocaine. They would even leave their babies. Those companies, this is genius, right? You had to be 18 to do that thing. You didn't do it all the time, and not all people did it, right? They realized they didn't go away quietly. They bought the food companies. And now there's 262 different names in your food for sugar. And one of the major things they use is high fructose corn syrup. So let's take a look at the root of disease. This is the root cause of 90% of all conditions in medically in this country and basically the world. 93% of the people have insulin resistance. If you go to a family reunion right now, tell me that you don't know at least 10 people on both sides of your family that have some of these things. So the Bible says no good tree bear bad fruit. That's the tree. Strokes. Do you know that it takes 10 to 20 years of insulin resistance, according to the medical research and expert, to develop type 2 diabetes? And if you're a diabetic, you're 80% more likely to have a cardiovascular event. And you're 81% more likely to have Alzheimer's. They now call Alzheimer's diabetes type 3. Not only that, obesity, migraines, dementia. If you walked into the room and forgot why you were going, that's early signs of that, by the way. Osteoarthritis, that's joint arthritis. How many of you have joint pain? Childhood obesity. You never used to see that, did you? Did you know that the research shows that high fructose corn syrup, so back in the 70s, they started removing fiber out of the food. Now, why would they do that? Well, one, it helps with shelf life. So in World War I and II, when they started making all like those, I forget what they call them, but the meals they make last forever, they remove fiber and it increased shelf life. So it was out of necessity, but then the food companies took that on and it makes sense. I mean, if you can shelf your food longer, right, that makes sense. But what it does by removing the shelf, by taking the fiber out, your blood sugar goes higher, which means that you make more insulin. And insulin then tells your body to store fat and energy and make things grow, both foreign and domestic. Making sense? So when they started doing that, since then, diabetes has 7x'd. You never heard of Alzheimer's. Now you got it. All of these things are correlated with what I'm sharing with you. It's crazy, isn't it? Now, right here, right? Not only osteoarthritis, childhood obesity, PCOS, the number one cause of infertility in children, in women. And my wife had this for 20 years, guys. Look at this one, fatty liver disease. Did you know, remember when I was talking to you about the school's food? Fructose is in those foods. Now check this out. Fructose goes directly to the liver like alcohol. So the way we make alcohol is we ferment it, right, with sugar. And those go directly to the liver. And when it goes to the liver, it creates non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which 40% or more of Americans have, and they're finding this in our 3-year-old children. And they're finding atherosclerosis in kids under 10, which is like your pipes rusting in your arteries. Never before have we seen this. When I started my practice, it was not called childhood, obesity or childhood diabetes. It was late onset diabetes, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, right? So long story short, you can just fill me back up, okay? So this is what they're finding. Now, arthritis, Alzheimer's, erectile dysfunction, sarcopenia, which is muscle wasting, and high blood pressure. How many times have you noticed when you go to a restaurant, they always start you off with chips or bread? We were just at a phenomenal Italian restaurant, and I ate the bread, right? But here's what they do in the bread. If you buy from a local bakery, okay, what they do is they don't load it up with fructose, and it goes bad in about 2 days, 2 to 3 days, right? You'll start to mold, go hard. The ones elsewhere, they put fructose in it. Did you know that Way of Sub, that big chain, that their bread is taxed as sugar in Europe? Do you guys know why? Because there's more sugar than bread. You know the company that makes cheese, that makes it taste better, right? We eat those as a kid. They're called singlets. Do you know why they don't call it cheese? Because there's not 51% of the product isn't cheese. My buddy burned it at a seminar we were doing. Burnt a singlet and it wouldn't light. It wouldn't break down. How does your body break that down? Do you guys follow what I'm talking about? And so here's what happens, right? In his book, he talks about this. If you are eating fructose, right, it causes your cells to damage and deteriorate 7 times faster than glucose. It causes the Maillard reaction, a Browning reaction of the tissue 250 times faster. This is why our kids are getting chronic age diseases that we've never seen before. Now, the Bible tells us that if you love your child, give them the rod. That doesn't mean beat them. The rod means the path, the straight and narrow. And if you don't let them be, if we don't change this, what's going to happen, guys? I hope this makes sense, right? Now, when you go out to a restaurant, they give you chips, they give you bread. And I love all these things. I love them all, right? But here's what happens when you do that. If you do that with a refined carbohydrate, this is a picture of the glycemic index created by the University of Sydney in Australia. Okay, I'm going to share that, Mindy, as we go through, okay? But I want you to understand thoroughly, because if you understand, you can change your life. If you don't, you won't, okay? So buckle in. I promise you I'm going to share it with you. This right here, when you eat that bread or chips or whatever, your blood sugar spikes up like a rocket ship. Now the pancreas makes insulin to pull that blood sugar back down. Now, if you do this, there's nothing left in the bloodstream. The brain makes up 2% of your body weight, 20% to 30% of the output and energy the body uses. So it needs fuel immediately, okay? Now, if you're burning fat, right, ketones, you don't need to eat. It's crazy, guys, okay? So you just keep stable energy the whole time. If you eat a carb like this, within 15 minutes to an hour, it spikes your insulin. And insulin pulls all of that sugar out of the bloodstream, so there's nothing left for the brain, so you've got to eat more. Once you pop, you can't. Now look at protein down here. Protein, when you eat it, it does spike your blood sugar, as you can see, in 4 to 5 hours, but it's much slower, right, than 15 minutes to an hour. And 40% converts to glucose. It's called gluconeogenesis. Did you know that you can actually create glucose, which is essential in your body, through fats and proteins? Now, look at fat down at the bottom, 8 to 9 hours, and only 10% converts to glucose. Did you know that fat does not spike your insulin at all? It's called nutrient fasting. So when you're eating fats, you can keep your insulin low. And when insulin's low, the fat's got to go. Now, how many of you, earlier you said to me, hey, Dr. Kinney, we've been told to eat, 3 meals a day, 2 to 3 snacks a day to keep our metabolism up, right? If you're a diabetic, have you also been told to do the same thing, to eat 3 meals a day, 2 to 3 snacks a day? Please type a D5 in the chat for me. Thank you, Megan. Now, this is me on the protocol that I'm going to be sharing with you here in a moment. That was me 35 days apart. So if you've been told as a diabetic to eat, 4, 5, 6 meals a day, please type D5 in the chat for me, please. I've lost over 50 pounds, probably 10 of that's my hair, but I no longer have sleep apnea. I no longer have GERD. I fixed my cardiac AFib, okay? And yeah, this isn't keto at all, by the way. You're right, keto is hard. I've done it too. I've done the keto meters and all that stuff, guys. I'm that guy. But this right here, I no longer have fatty liver. I fixed my blood work. Dr. Marla went from looking like Dr. Mabel to Dr. Marla, down 22 pounds. Look how much younger her face looks by reversing insulin resistance. Look at this beautiful lady, 14 to a 5.9 or A1C on this protocol, right? Wow, Crystal, no more headaches, inflammation gone, science approved. This lady right here, this is heartbreaking, right? I used to have a physical clinic. And the last thing you ever want to have to do is have to let someone go. It's terrible. Like you don't sleep even after it's done. It's horrible. And Belinda was going to be let go. She's a truck driver. And unfortunately with her, thank you, Mindy, she had diabetes, she had PCOS, she was depressed. She was also having cholesterol and blood pressure issues and taking things for those. And when you're diabetic, do you remember me saying you have an 80% increase in cardiovascular risk? That was Belinda. And so what happened with her is they were going to make her retire. They were going to can her because they couldn't have her out there possibly having a heart attack and killing people. This is 6 months apart on the protocol, guys. She reversed type 2, reversed PCOS, and she was able to get off those other things. And she's down 120 pounds. Now, it might look like weight loss. This is not weight loss. When you correct insulin, if you need to lose body fat, you will. If you need to put on muscle, you will. Because when you fast, you increase human growth hormone and testosterone, which builds muscle. Which I always tell people, when you're on this protocol, try on a pair of tight-fitting pants at the end of every week. Those will fit differently every week. The scale might not change. And the reason being is because muscle's much heavier than fat. So when you're putting on muscle and taking off fat, the scale might not shift early on, but your clothes fit totally different. And the one side effect of this protocol, and by the way, they're listed in the PDR.net, what I'm going to share with you, with 0 side effects. But the side effect is you're going to have to replace your wardrobe. That's the funny thing. Now, this right here, I want to share with you guys. This is what you're told to do, right? You're told to drink or eat. You eat your Frupa Poopa latte, your orange juice, your croissant, your bagel, your oatmeal. All of those things are carbohydrates. And carbohydrates turn into blood sugar. I would always have moms, God bless them, that would have ADHD children. And they would be like, Dr. Kenny, like my kids have this, but they don't like candy and they don't like sugar, right? And here you go, honey. Sorry about that. And I would say, well, do they like pasta? Do they like French fries and potato chips? Do they like macaroni and cheese and pizza? And they're like, they love all those things. I said, man, so do I. But those all convert into blood sugar. And they were like, and too much sugar in the brain of a child is called ADHD. And too much sugar in the brain of an adult is called Alzheimer's. Too much sugar in your brain at night, if you eat, like, let's say pizza later in the evening, you ever notice how you're up all night? Your mind won't shut down. Maybe you're sweating. That's a sympathetic response. We're going to talk about that in your blood pressure here in just a moment, okay? Not only that, if you get too much sugar in your joints, that's called arthritis. Too much sugar in your penis, guys, is erectile dysfunction. Too much in your female parts is called PCOS. You guys getting it? Now, here's what happens. You wake up in the morning and you drink your Frupa Poopa latte that has 10 to 12, God, what am I trying to say? Cubes of sugar, like this. And your blood sugar goes up like a rocket ship. Now, because of this, the pancreas makes insulin, pulls it back down. And then what happens is now you get to lunchtime, maybe even have a snack in between breakfast and lunch. You have probably a sandwich, right? Maybe a hamburger, and I love hamburgers. You have the bun, that's sugar, right? You have some fries with it, sugar. Blows up your blood sugar. Now you're hungry, you're tired, right? Because once the pancreas pulls all the, thank you for the love, the sugar out of the bloodstream, you're tired. So you got to eat again for energy, right? You guys get it? Then you eat your snack, and then it comes back down. This happens all day long. And when you're spiking insulin, you are literally telling your body to store energy, to shut your immune system down and turn down testosterone, okay? So kids go to school, they eat a sugary meal on breakfast, right? Then they have a snack. Then all of a sudden they get to lunch. You guys know what that is. Then they have another snack, then they have dinner, and then they probably have another snack. Well, if you add all that up, then you get to October, it's Halloween. That's candy season. Then it's pie season, then it's cookie season, then it's candy season. And we wonder why we're seeing kids getting sicker and sicker and sicker and seeing all these crazy things that we've never seen before. And it's not just in America, it's global. It's global. Like, I think I just read something where Kuwait, 80% of the people are diabetic. 80%. It's freaking insane, guys, okay? And this is why we're doing what we're doing. We're trying to help educate you, okay? Now, how many of you, ladies and gentlemen, have been told salt is causing high blood pressure? If you've been told it's salt, please type salt into the chat for me, please. Thank you for the kind words, Mary. Now, that's me again. You can see where I had my heart monitor in, right? That was 35 days apart. And I no longer have cardiac AFib. I no longer have fatty liver disease. See, everybody on here knows it's salt, right? Okay. So let's talk about that, right? Now, this right here is a cube of sugar. It's equivalent to 1 packet of sugar. It's 4,000 milligrams or 4 grams of sugar. This reminds me of my grandma. And my grandma was so amazing to me. I mean, she taught me how to read when I was like 2.5, 3 years old. She just spent time with me and showed me that I mattered, that I was important. I'm so blessed with great parents and grandparents. And she would always put one of these in her coffee in the morning. And I remember she would let me stir it in. So it was really experiential for me. You know, I loved it. I would make igloos out of these, you know, and every now and then she let me take a drink. And that was a disaster, right? Sugar and coffee and like a 5-year-old kid. Oh my, can you imagine? Especially me, I'm high energy anyway. But here's what happens. This is what your body has biochemically at any moment in your bloodstream. That's what it maintains. And that's perfect. That's what you want, okay? Anything over this creates a sympathetic nervous system response called fight or flight. Let me explain. Fight or flight literally could be caused by a tiger jumping out at you. Would you get a little scared? Yeah. And what your body does in fight or flight, it causes your heart rate to increase through a process using a hormone called epinephrine. And it makes the blood vessels constrict, so you increase pressure. So when the heart pumps, it pumps the stuff through those systems faster to get them to your cells so that you can fight or run. And because you're trying to protect yourself, the body's raising those hormones to protect yourself, and it's turning off the parasympathetics, which are for reproduction and your immune system function. You follow me? Rob and Peter to pay Paul. And this is what you want. Now, if you're fortunate enough to get away from the tiger, guess what happens? Then those hormones that were ramped up to get you away come down, parasympathetic comes back up, your immune system starts working, and so does your reproductive system. You don't want to have a baby if you're being chased all the time by a tiger, right? How do you even have time to do it? Okay. Well, that tiger isn't just a physical tiger. It's things that we consume. And if you consume a Fruit Poop latte, a glass of OJ, those have 10 to 16 of these in it. Maybe it's an O's of Cheery, one of those. 1 cup is equivalent to 10 of these. But that's supposed to be heart healthy according to that association, right? Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, so now this causes your blood vessels to constrict, which increases your pressure, your blood pressure. Remember, if you've been doing caloric restrictive diets, go to your high school reunion, 10 years later, everybody's 10 pounds heavier. 20 years later, 20 or more. Huh. Isn't that interesting? Because everybody's doing the same thing and getting the same result. So now what happens is the heart has been weakened by 20%. The medical research shows when you do a caloric restricted diet, and caloric restricted diets cause insulin resistance, which means that your cells are no longer listening to insulin, so the body has to keep making more and more, just like you would drink something on a weekend to get more and more of the same effect as you first got. You guys get it? So now the pressure's up. This chars the inside of the blood vessels called atherosclerosis, and it also glycates, it's glue. It's kind of like if you ever go and bake a cake, right? Is it the protein and the fat in the cake that's sticky, or is it the flour that's sugar, or the added sugar that's sticky? And that's what binds in your eyes and causes eye floaters and things like, you know, the optic nerve where, you know, detached retinas. You start to get kidney issues and joint pain. You guys follow me? How many people you guys know with all this stuff? Weird. So now it chars it. So now your pipes have rust in them. Now insulin makes things grow because you're telling the body you have an abundance of energy. Thank you, energy. So not only are you storing the fat, but you're also telling things to grow, both foreign and domestic. And that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because guess what? Now the muscle in the arteries grow. And now that makes the opening smaller in the coronary arteries. Those are arteries of your heart. Wonder why there's increased risk with diabetes, 80% to have a cardiovascular event. Now what happens, thank you guys for love. So now what takes place, guys, the endothelial cells in the arteries cannot make nitric oxide that causes those arteries to open back up. Another component of this, aldosterone is made by the adrenal glands to retain salt. Salt retains water, which can increase pressure. When you're insulin resistant, it throws off that balance. But what's really causing, guess what? Your blood pressure issues is not salt, it's sugar. Here's a study for you also. They did a study on 27 men with normal to slightly elevated blood pressure, and what they found in 1 week of reducing or restricting salt, there were no drops in blood pressure, and the worst thing that happened, they became insulin resistant, which actually causes your high blood pressure. Ba-da-ba-ba. You guys loving it? Now check this out. If somebody you know and love has a heart attack, first thing we do is call the paramedics, and I love those people. They saved my life. But they would put them on an IV drip, right? And what's in an IV drip? Do you guys know what's in an IV drip? Type that in the chat for me if you know what's in it. You know what farmers put out on their farm to keep their animals healthy? Salt licks. Salt licks. Yeah, guys, it's saline solution in an IV drip, which is salt. Now, how many of you guys, right? Okay, no. How many of you have been told somebody maybe has, I don't know, high blood pressure, or you know someone that's high blood pressure, and they put them on a water pill, right? If you've been told that, please type WP into the chat for water pill, okay? So, see, when a farmer does this, first thing my cardiologist told me to do with my AFib was to take magnesium. Magnesium is absolutely necessary to allow muscles to relax. How many people you guys know that always get cramps? Well, you have muscles in your arteries that cramp and they can't release, just like you get cramps in your legs. That's all caused by mineral deficiencies. If you get a good salt, like pink salt, Himalayan salt, right, Celtic Baja salt, couple pinches in the morning, phenomenal for your health, guys. See, water pill, right? A water pill is actually patented salt. So that we're told not to eat it, but they prescribe it, right? So now that you understand what's causing blood pressure, let's take a look at cholesterol. And this is really gonna blow your mind. I'm gonna share with you how to read your cholesterol panel, and then I'm gonna show you the protocol, okay? So this right here was me 35 days apart. And ladies and gentlemen, and that was on the protocol. Now, funny thing is, cholesterol is so powerful, it is so imperative and important that 85% is made by our liver. It's even made in our brain also, by the way, okay? And cholesterol is actually fuel for your neurons. Did you guys know that? So that's what helps you think and your neurons to connect. For instance, cholesterol is 25% of your body's cholesterol is in your brain. 80% of the tissue in the brain is white matter. That is cholesterol and fat. 20% is gray matter or neurons, brain material, okay? Cholesterol, how many of you have been told that LDL is the villain? And if you've been told that, please put V in the chat for me as villain, right? Okay. Hey, Janice, what's up? Yeah, Kay, we're going to talk about that right now, okay? Now, according to these gentlemen in the medical research, there's two forms of LDL cholesterol, first off, okay? And LDL stands for low density lipoprotein. It carries cholesterol. Did you know that if you're a female and you're in menopause and you're given something to bring down your cholesterol, those things work extremely well to bring down your LDL cholesterol, okay? And research shows that you extend your life by 4 days on one of those things through the British Medical Journal. If you're insulin resistant, which causes your cholesterol disruption in your body, the ones that you don't want, guess what happens? That's the insulin resistance causes it. And if you have insulin resistance, you lose 10 to 20 years of your life. But why would we want to go after the cause if we can treat the effect? You guys follow me? Okay, check this out. LDL is a carrier molecule. And there's two components. There's pattern A and there's pattern B. Pattern A makes up 80% of LDL, and that's the one you want. Pattern B is the one you don't want. As a collectiveness, both of them together, your hazard risk ratio, that means likelihood to have a cardiovascular event, is 1.3. That means 30% more likely to have a cardiovascular event, okay? Triglycerides, that's the one you want to pay attention to. That one has a 1.8 hazard risk ratio. That means you're 80% more likely to have a cardiovascular event. And pattern B fits into that category. Check this out. This is an example I want to share, and I pray that this makes sense. Okay, this is my daughter's old Barbie dream car. She's almost a teenager, so she'd probably get mad at me for showing you this, but this is the best example I could find. This is going to represent LDL in your body, okay? So, cholesterol, remember I said that females are 50% more likely to become diabetic on something that brings down cholesterol? That's because cholesterol makes up your hormones, and insulin is a hormone. Testosterone is a hormone. Check this out. LDL carries cholesterol to where it needs to go. So if this is your car and you are the cholesterol, you get in that and this takes you to your work, doesn't it? And if your work's your pancreas and that pancreas is making insulin, insulin's the key that opens all doors, kind of like money, right? Okay. Well, if I take something to remove my car, how do I get cholesterol there to make insulin? I wonder why one of the side effects are diabetes. What if this car was carrying me the cholesterol to my testicles? And I take something to take the car away, now I can't get cholesterol to my testicles to make testosterone. Now I have no libido and I can't make testosterone. What if this goes to your joints? And now, you know, the joints in your body between bones that always hurt and ache. And now with this, if I take the LDL away, how do I get cholesterol to the joints to make synovial fluid and all these things that are necessary there at the membrane level? What if that was carrying cholesterol also to the brain? Or between the astrocytes to the neurons? Could I not connect thoughts? Now this is a wire right here that's charging my phone as I'm speaking to you. It's covered in a coating, and that coating protects me from having a fire, right? Well, this wire is going to be a nerve in your body, and it's covered in cholesterol and fat. It's called myelin. And if you have an autoimmune disease, which we're going to talk about, it can cause, guess what? This right here to be eaten away. And now you get numbness and neuropathy. Your joints hurt. So if you can't get cholesterol to the brain, you can't connect your thoughts. That's called dementia. And Alzheimer's. If you can't get it to the testicles, you can't make testosterone. And there's only 1 billion people around the globe on these. And I wonder why they keep building all the skilled nursing homes, because they know where they're putting people. Well, funny thing is, Dr. Lustig talks a lot about this. And he said that the company started removing fiber, diabetes 7x, but when you have blood sugar issues leading to that, right? Cholesterol went through the roof. Well, they created something to bring that down. That's very effective at bringing down LDL, but check this out. Here's how you read your cholesterol panel. Thank you, Miss Gina. This will blow your mind. So when you read it, you want to know what it's telling you. Like data doesn't mean anything if you can't use it. See, what I want to do is help you understand what's going on so you can properly apply it to your life. That's why I take the time to educate you, okay? Because if you understand, you can make changes. Does that make sense, guys? But if you don't, you're just doing something and you don't know why you're doing it, you'll never follow through, okay? But what these gentlemen have pointed out, there's a thing called pattern reading. They've known this for over 2 decades. And what you do is you take your triglyceride number, divide that by your HDL, okay? And if that number is 1.5 or less, guess what happens? You're doing really good. And that means that you have pattern A cholesterol, which is fluffy, it's buoyant like a balloon, okay? This carries cholesterol, well, to your pancreas so you can make insulin, to your joints so you can make membranes and your joints don't hurt. It carries it to your gut so that you can, guess what, make serotonin. It carries it to your testicles so you can make testosterone. However, if the triglyceride number divided by HDL is 2 or above, That's telling you that you have fatty liver. And the liver's overflooded with sugar. It's packaging it as fats, known as triglycerides. This is why your triglyceride, they get pushed out into circulation. Triglyceride numbers go up in your blood work. The body then pulls the HDL back into the liver, so HDL goes down. This is telling you the severity of your insulin resistance. Now, why does that matter? Because those are shaped like a golf ball. Okay, so when you package those up, they are small and dense and penetrable. This one dropped in the water will sink. This one will float. This is the one you want. This one gets into the cracks and crevices in your arteries, and this is the one that burrows in, and this has the hazard risk ratio of 1.8. Means you're 80% more likely to have a cardiovascular event. Would you rather be hit in the head by this or the balloon? And when this gets inside of that artery, it causes more inflammation. The phagocytes, which are part of your immune system, come along, they eat it, they send off cytokine responses, which are kind of like at a family reunion when everybody's cell phones go off with amber alerts. They come in, they grab more, they take it, they create more inflammation, more swelling, smaller opening, increased pressure. Now they break free. It's called a foam cell, floating fat cell, and that's what leads to your cardiovascular events. Crazy, isn't it? And guess what causes those? According to them, the very things that you're being put on. Don't take my word for it. Read the information, guys. Here's what happens. Some of you guys are asking, what is the protocol? How do you do it? I'm going to share with you now, okay? This right here, as I do this was a family member whose blood sugar on insulin for 20 years was 275. Day one, it was 109. Hasn't used insulin since while on the protocol. My buddy Jojo dropped 157 pounds. It may look like weight loss. This is not weight loss, guys. When you reverse insulin resistance, weight will fall off. This was me putting on muscle, taking off fat. I have never in my life been able to do that. I'm actually getting older, right? And no, I'm not pre-recorded. I'm trying to get through the material, but I definitely will answer questions. This person right here is 160 blood glucose. In 1 week, it was 95. Kara, I'm going to show you that in just a moment. This lady is no longer diabetic. 25 pounds down in 2 months, guys. Here, right here, is sometimes I get, I don't know how you say your name, but that's what I do is I get going and I want to make sure I make the point and I don't miss the point, and then I always try to answer your questions. Thank you for being understanding. Look at this right here, guys. This lady's blood glucose was 450. In 2 days, it was 139. Now, a part of this protocol is fasting, okay? And my wife had PCOS for over 20 years. She could not fast. I mean, she would get hangry, PO'd, mad. She had skin tags, another sign of insulin resistance. She'd eat every couple hours, another sign of insulin resistance. She was starting to get belly fat, right? She was eating cleaner, moving more, eating less, and getting more and more fat, right? It doesn't matter. It's all about insulin, guys. And so this is what was happening. So this lady couldn't fast either. She had to eat every 2 hours. She was a sugar addict and couldn't help it. This right here, guys, so the protocol is this. You wake up in the morning and we have a chlorogenic acid tea. Comes in this sachet. You pour it in this bottle that they provide you. It tells you where to fill it up. Chlorogenic acid tea acts like a natural metformin. This is patented. And what this will do, this chlorogenic acid has 375 times the amount of more than anywhere on the planet, any other product. Chlorogenic acid is a natural metformin. It acts like a natural insulin sensitizer, so it keeps your blood sugar and your insulin low. And when insulin stays low, the fat's got to go. It also it stimulates your own natural GLP-1. You may have heard of GLP-1 as maybe Ozempic, Wegovy. I just released a video where my friend interviewed this guy right here, Dr. Bickman. He had the first lab in North America on GLP-1 drugs, okay? Yeah, I use stevia, if that's your question. This right here, guys, he shows in the research that within 2 years, these people are off these meds. They're now linking these to pancreatic and thyroid with a C disease. You guys follow me? Gastric paralysis. Every 10 pounds of weight, God bless these people, that they lose, almost 5 pounds is muscle and bone. That means that's called sarcopenia and osteoporosis. You can look all this up in the PDR.net. Okay, that's where doctors prescribe medications from. What I'm sharing with you, this protocol, they're also in the PBR.net. These have zero side effects. This stimulates your GLP-1 by 70%. You can use this while you're doing those medications, if you're on those medications, by the way. This right here, they're now finding that you double the risk of suicide and triple the risk of depression because they destroy your gut and cause gastric paralysis. And when you stop taking them, you gain all the weight back in fat because it's easier to gain fat back than to gain muscle and bone, guys. It's all in the book, guys. And that's going to be the next decade, okay? This stimulates GLP-1. On top of that, what this also does, it has saponins that suppress the effects of LPS. I'm going to go over that here in a moment after I show you the protocol. LPS happens with leaky gut. Okay, it's the bad bacteria in your gut. It also has theobromine, which trumps epinephrine, which is the third component in cortisol and what's causing your cortisol issues. So this tea is to be sipped and utilized through your entire, okay, fasting window. So when you wake up in the morning, you're fasted. Your blood sugar levels are low. Your insulin's low. Thank you for the love. This was my wife, 2 months apart, had PCOS for 20 years. She reversed her insulin resistance. Her PCOS is gone. So is her midline. Well, the protocol reverses insulin resistance, which is the #1 driver in cortisol. #2 is inflammation. When you're not eating and driving your blood sugar and insulin low, you're not feeding the disease. Disease needs, guess what? Sugar and insulin. We're going to talk about that. Then what happens? This also suppresses LPS. Then there's a fiber that I'm going to share with you. And this fiber has been studied at the Cleveland Clinic. It is clinically proven to reduce your LDL. It's clinically proven to bring down your triglycerides. Thank you, Lisa. It's clinically proven to bring down your A1C blood sugar and increase HDL. These have been studied at the Cleveland Clinic, at the University of Sydney, Stanford, BYU, UCLA. It cracks me up. And these have zero side effects, and they're as effective as weight loss meds, blood pressure meds, cholesterol meds, and diabetic meds, guys, with zero side effects other than you're going to have to replace your wardrobe. And they come with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Now, the reason I'm showing you this, my wife couldn't do this, she said. And I said to her, instead of eating first thing in the morning, could you sip on this tea? She's like, I can do that. So you sip on the tea. It was 1 p.m. before my wife ate that day. She was blown away and felt amazing. When you eat, if you're hungry at lunch and you eat, your blood sugar will go up. Then you make your second tea of the day, okay? I make mine in the morning hot. I've got mine in my Yeti in the morning. I replace my coffee with it. I love the taste of it. It tastes phenomenal. My 12-year-old drinks it. She loves it. And then I make it iced in the afternoon. So between lunch and dinner, you make your second tea. There's no crazy restriction of calories, guys. When you eat, you're going to eat fiber first. Think a green leafy vegetable salad. Then you're going to have your protein that has fat built into it, okay? That's what you're going to do. Proteins and fats are satiating. They're filling. And then if you want carbs, eat them less. That's going to keep your blood sugar much lower, which means you use less insulin, okay? Then what you're going to do when you get to dinner, if dinner's your biggest meal, you're going to utilize this fiber matrix. And I'm going to explain this fiber matrix more in detail when I go into the next component, talking about gut health. And I'm going to show you some proof of this and testimonies. But this right here is clinically proven to bring your insulin levels down by 40%. That means that if you go out and you spend $100 at the grocery store, you get $40 back. Now, some of you guys are ready to buy the protocol. I'm going to show you where to get it. I'm not done teaching. I'm going to be on here for another 40-ish, 35, 40 minutes, teaching you guys more about gut health, what this does, how to correct that, all those kind of things. If you're ready and see yourself doing this, here's what you do. You click on the live in the top left corner of my live. You click this picture. Push it a couple times. Once you do that, it's going to take you here to my bio page. This is my discount link right here. You're going to click that link. Once you click it, you can use your FSA for one-time purchases, HSAs. You hit buy now. Once you hit buy now, you get to choose what you want. I highly recommend the lemon. It tastes the best. It's sweetened with stevia. I love it. This right here, now you pick the fiber. You can do orange or you can do mixed berry. And the protocol is $159 when you subscribe. They take $10 off of your order and they pay for your shipping and handling. It's $5 a day. And here's what they use down below. Guys, in this, you're not going to be eating breakfast. I was just at Starbucks 2 weeks ago. I was cold. I bought a black coffee. It was $6. This tea completely crushes all the food noise. So you don't, like, my father was drinking 5 diet sodas a day. He had prostate cancer. Back in the summer, they removed it. His PSA was still high. And in 2 months, my father's PSA was back to normal. They didn't have to do radiation. He's had a half of a diet soda in 5.5 months since he started this protocol. Now, with that, also, this protocol, these are listed in the PDR.net with 0 side effects. And also, I've asked all my medical doctors that joined me in this, my nurse practitioners, have you ever seen anything medication-wise that doesn't have a side effect? They're like, doesn't exist. I go, have you ever seen one with a 90-day money-back guarantee? They go, it doesn't exist. I go, have you ever seen one as effective as weight loss meds, diabetic meds, blood pressure and cholesterol meds? They're like, I've never seen it like it. And so with that, when you subscribe, the reason I tell you to subscribe, you save the most money. The company sends you an email 5 days before it renews, and you also get information directly from me when you subscribe through me. Now, I'm not done. I want to share with you guys some more proof, right? But this is the funny thing, right? This is my buddy, Jimmy. Jimmy had no thyroid. So I want to let you guys hear some live proof, okay?
Like, it was just one thing after another, and life just really sucked.
Since you've done this, how's your life changed?
Since I started the protocol, I actually found it on TikTok, believe it or not, and decided to give it a shot because there's a 90-day money-back guarantee. I was all in because I had literally given up on life and I didn't know what to do, where to turn, what direction to go in. Life just really sucked for me to be the heaviest that I ever was. In consistency, in 90 days, I was able to reverse my type 2 diabetes, reverse my fatty liver disease, the sleep apnea started going away, the blood pressure was normalizing, depression was gone, ED, erectile dysfunction, gone. I was able to lose 46 pounds in that first 90 days, but I've been doing it for 19 months now, and I'm down 88 pounds and off of 8 medications. And I've got my health back, like, my life is back. That is.
Ladies and gentlemen, even little ones, we don't have them fast, but that's 4 months. Look at this. Look at that. That's me 11 weeks apart. No counting of calories, muscle increase, body fat down, all natural. My buddy Jim reversed his type 2 in 6 weeks, no longer has GERD, fatty liver, reflux, gone, all those things. He's down 3 shirt sizes and 4 pant sizes. My buddy Brandon is down 70 pounds and he's no longer depressed because this, not only, ladies and gentlemen, does this reverse insulin resistance, but it helps your liver detox and it feeds the gut, which is what I'm going to go into with you right now. Now, there's Jimmy's testimony, so I don't need to show you that. Here's where I'm at over, this is on FB. This is our private page. You can come over and get information. All of you can join this. I would highly recommend. It's called Peak Performance Protocol. Thank you for the love. This is me over on IG if you want to follow me here. Okay. And then I'll show you guys where you can order it again, I promise. This is me also over on FB with my wife and daughter. That's my personal page. You should all follow me. Yes, I'll do that right now. Let me show you how to do that, and then I'm going to go into gut health with you, okay? So what you do if you want to purchase, you click on the top left corner. If you're on your phone or tablet, my face will act like a button, that picture right there. Push that a couple times. Once you do that, it will take you here to the bio page. Once you get here, you're going to click the discount link right there. You hit buy now, and then you get to basically have fun at church, love it. And then this is right, I'm gonna explain fiber right now. That's where you lemon tea, and then you choose the type of fiber you want, and you get it in about 2 to 4 days. We are in Canada, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Austria, Denmark, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Poland, Spain, Switzerland, United Kingdom, Belgium, France, Hungary, Luxembourg, Norway, Republic of Ireland, Sweden, and Turkey. We're also in Australia, India, Malaysia, Philippines, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Japan, New Zealand, Singapore, and Thailand. And we're in Egypt, Kuwait, Oman, South Africa, Jordan, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Dubai. So we're in 63 countries, guys. Our products are all third-party tested. And let me go over gut health, right? I want to share that, and I'm going to tie it in with the fiber and why fiber is so important, guys, when you eat. This is my friend Deb. How many of you have been told that diabetes is genetic? If you've been told it is genetic, type a G into the chat for me, please, okay? Her dad had diabetes. Her brother had diabetes. She was pre-diabetic and insulin resistant. And if it's genetic, then they have a company called 23andMe, right? And the reason it's called 23andMe is you get 23 chromosomes from mom, 23 from dad. Well, that's all the genes you're ever going to get. So why would it take 40 years to get diabetes? Or 50 years? What you should be born with it if it's genetic, right? You already had the genes as soon as you were conceived. It's because it's not genetic. There are genetic factors, right? There are genetic diseases. Down syndrome, those people are born like that. That is a genetic condition. This is completely reversible, guys. So this lady's brother reversed his type 2. She's down 75 pounds on this protocol. She no longer has headaches. Her testosterone levels are back to normal. And her IBS, which is an autoimmune disease, is gone. Did you know that women have 80% of the autoimmune diseases? And this is because women are put on the menstrual pill for, hormone regulation and not to get pregnant. Well, guess what? That destroys the gut biome, the research shows. And when you destroy the gut, that's why you get autoimmune. And I'm going to explain that right now. This lady's off her meds for lupus and rheumatism and diabetes. Those are both autoimmune diseases. Her IBS is gone and she's down 75 pounds. Her diabetes is gone after 23 years and she was 73 years young. If you're having trouble, MMV, I'll show you. You can always direct message me. If you don't hear from me afterwards, it's because you have your messages turned off. But that's my number if you need me to get a hold of me, okay, and I can help you. Now, what happens is this, guys. So this right here is going to represent your intestines. The brain and gut are directly connected. The brain, okay, the gut is known as the second brain. It's called the enteric nerve system. You're going to want to hear this. And there's more nerve endings in your enteric nerve system than your spinal cord. So now what happens is when you eat something from the outside the body, 80% of your immune system lines your intestines. Here's why. So you have 3 layers, the research shows medically, to your intestines according to the research. One is called the mucin layer. This is going to represent your intestines, okay? SH goes through here, right? You guys follow me? Food, nutrients, yada, yada, yada. There's a mucin layer here, and then this hand, these 2 hands are going to represent the tight junction cells, okay? Below here, you got the immune system. That's the 3 layers. If you're eating the standard American diet, the ones that have high fructose, corn syrup, seed oils, all that kind of stuff, trans fats, blah, 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 hormones in your food, antibiotics, all of these things, they cause the bad bacteria to grow in your intestines. These are known as the firmicutes. And when these guys grow, they create systemic inflammation. Guys, I've got about another 20 minutes to answer questions, just so you know. And those are the ones that screw up your hormones, ladies and gentlemen. These are the ones that damage your whole entire system. They make you fat, make your joints hurt, create autoimmune diseases. I'm going to show you how. Inside of their cell wall are these little substances called LPS, lipopolysaccharides. And those cause the junctions to widen. Now, feces, poop, enterotoxins, and LPS seep down inside to the immune system cells. This is, again, like setting at your family reunion and everybody's Amber Alert goes off at once. So now these immune cells attack, auto means self-immune, attacks your pancreas, you're a type 1 diabetic. If it attacks your thyroid, you have Hashimoto's. If it attacks your colon, you've got Crohn's. If it attacks your nerves, you've got MS. If it attacks your joints, right, you've got rheumatoid arthritis. You guys follow me? All of these things are linked to that. Here's what happens. When you're not eating all day, when you fast for 24 hours, I know you might think you can't do it. This system, it's super simple. My wife went 56 hours. When you fast for 24 hours, your body makes new stem cells. You know the things people pay thousands of dollars for? Thank you for the love, by the way. Your body makes its own that fix your gut lining. And while you're not eating, you're giving the digestive system a break. You're giving the immune system a break. And guess what else happens? The saponins in the tea suppress the effects of LPS. Well, all of your allergies and sensitivities and asthma and all these things, that's all related to what I'm teaching you right now. So when you're not eating, the junction starts to get tighter. Now, when you feed the body this fiber, this is equivalent to 6 cups of broccoli, 5 apples with the pills, or 2 cups of black beans. I don't eat like that, but I try to. But I use this. This right here has both soluble and insoluble fiber. I no longer use probiotics. That's when you're actually adding bacteria to the intestines. You already have the bacteria there. You just haven't fed them right. So if you don't feed them, they can't grow. You follow me? And I know you're addicted to the garbage. They know how to bioprogram it. This protocol crushes the food noise, crushes it. They told me that, I was skeptical. They told me my skin tags would fall off, I was skeptical. They told me my mood would change, my energy would change. They said I'd probably lose weight. That's not like what this is about, but that would probably happen. It all happened, even my skin tags. And I was super skeptical, but I figured I got 90 days, what the hell? Anyway, the fiber, when you eat insoluble fiber, this is a prebiotic. It feeds the bacteria. And the research shows you have 100 trillion cells in your intestines. So when you eat, you're not eating for you. Even if a mom's pregnant, she's eating for more than 2. She's eating for 100 trillion also. And when you feed these little guys and gals, they're very happy. And the pre-fiber, the insoluble fiber, acts like a colander when you're making pasta. And then the soluble fiber acts like petroleum and fills in the holes. So now the water doesn't spew through. See, that builds up in your duodenum just past the stomach. That's what affects the flow of the sugar directly to the liver. It's called the hepatoportal system, right? And this is where the liver and pancreas connect, like they work together, just like the hypothalamic portal in the brain. There's only 2 systems in the body where organ to organ dumps in each other through a venous system. Everything else just goes throughout the body entirely. What happens is it shunts that sugar reaction into the liver. And it gives the pancreas enough time to make the insulin to turn the sugar into stored glycogen, which is stored sugar, which is what you want, and not turning into fat. When you're eating fructose all the time, it gets stored into fat, which is called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which they're finding in our 3-year-old children. You guys follow me? When you do this, it slows all of that down. This is how you detox the liver, okay? And when you do this and you feed the bacteria that you want, the bacteroides start to grow, the firmicutes start to die. Now these guys start to close the junction, and all of a sudden, IBS, things like Lyme's disease. I'm going to give you some more proof right now. I'm going to let you guys hear some more testimonies. Not from Dr. Kenny, right? This is a friend of mine who had Lyme's disease.
Following the exact
Advil a day, just because you're just so desperate to get out of pain. Have to, in between patients, I would run into the bathroom. It's right across from my room, and I'd have to run my hands under hot water just so I could hold my activator. I don't even adjust manually with my hands. I have a tool. I had to heat my hands up to work. Felt the ice pick headache right here. Literally feels if a fly would land on this side of my head, my head would just slide off. Headache is horrible. I pretty much had given up hope. I've written goodbye letters to my kids. As I just know you can't live that long, living that way. But thank God for Dr. Kenny.
That was Lyme's disease. No, honey would break your fast. This is about helping you fast. I'm going to explain a little more detail of that.
struggling as a type 1 diabetic.
This is a type 1 diabetic story. And this right here is another autoimmune disease.
That you gotta talk to Kenny about this. Is very, very skeptical. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm 60, but I've been on the program for 3.5 weeks. I've reduced my insulin from 58 units or more a day down to 22. I no longer have to take insulin before I eat. Currently 3 hours and 5 minutes away from ending a 36-hour fast. Never in a million years that I would be able to do as a diabetic. Sure, my sugar would drop. Drinking the tea kept it According to my pump, been within range 100% of the time is incredible. And my blood sugars have been normal since I started the program. Such an incredible journey, and so excited to see, where it ends up. And I forgot to mention, in 3.5 weeks, I've lost 20 pounds. What? I've done every diet program.
So, ladies, someone was asking, can you do honey? Honey will break your fast. Creamer in your coffee will break your fast, guys. So we are about fasting. When you fast, you increase human growth hormone, testosterone. Your body goes into autophagy. This is why so many of these people look so much younger. So like, look at this lady who reversed her type 2 and is no longer on her cholesterol. Look at her skin. Do you see how much younger she looks? You guys see that? Did you know that when your estrogen is in balance, because insulin's in balance, you'll make more collagen? How many of you guys are taking collagen supplements? Right? The only things that I take are creatine. I take a bone complex by our company and some omega-3s. And that's what I take, and Himalayan pink salt for minerals. You make your own collagen, guys. This lady right here, 38 pounds in less than 3 months. Her depression was gone. My friend Sue, her kids were getting ready to put her into a skilled facility. That is the same baby. That's how fast Sue's life has changed. She's down 30-something pounds since beginning this journey. Her energy's restored. She's back at work. She's building homes again. She renovates homes. This is my friend Michael. Michael, his doctor told him he had nothing else for him. He had 2 to 3 years to live. Michael was 500 pounds, a type 2 diabetic, 25 medications a day, 8 blood pressure meds. This right here, Michael was medically disabled, okay? And he was receiving, he was receiving right through here. This is what he was receiving for his medical disability check every month. So he knew exactly what he was being paid, okay? And so what happened with him, he started this protocol, had nothing to lose, and this is what happened to his bank account. And the reason his bank account went up is because Michael stopped eating breakfast. Michael stopped eating snacks. And Michael put that money back in his pocket. Michael currently, in 6 months, is down 104 pounds. Michael's reversed type 2 diabetes. He's off 21 medications, and he's off 7 blood pressure medications of the 8, and he saved $650 a month. This lady's only down 203 pounds, guys. Look at this guy right here. Now, some of you are asking where to get it. I'll show you again, then I'm not done. I've got some more time. I'm gonna stick around, guys, and answer questions. If you're on the live and you're on your phone or tablet, you click this picture in the top left corner. That picture acts like a button, okay? Then what you do, once you get to this page, this is my bio page, you hit this button right here, You Feel Great, right there, Dr. Kenny. That's my link, my discount link. Once you order from me, you get information from me exactly how to do it. You hit the Buy Now button. I highly recommend using the lemon tea. It tastes phenomenal. It's sweetened with stevia. It does not break your fast, nor does the fiber. You can use either one of the fiber, the berry or the mixed orange. You add it to your cart. It's $5 a day. You'll get this in literally 2 to 4 days typically. So that's a great question, Posties. I fast different time frames every day. I've done a 5-day fast. Now, why would I do that? Medical research shows that if you, they took people that had, they were on chemotherapy with cancer, and it had destroyed their immune systems. They had them fast for 3 days. They were doing a water fast, which is what we would do with the tea, but the tea has the chlorogenic acid, so it keeps your blood sugar and insulin low. And in doing that, what they found is those people created new stem cells that created new immune systems, even in chemotherapy patients. So I do a 3 to 5 day fast every couple months. I do 2-day fast all the time. And so, see, if you go to bed, let's say you eat at 6 p.m. and then you go to bed, right? That night without eating, well, you just slept, right? You wake up at 6, that's 12 hours you haven't eaten. You wake up in the morning and you take this tea, it helps you live off your body fat. And the longer you fast, the more fat burning you have, okay? And the more autophagy. Autophagy is kind of like going and buying a new home, and you're gonna renovate it, and you rip it down to the studs, you take the drywall out and all those things. And then when you finally eat, That's like putting in the new drywall, the new electrical, all those things back in there. That's how autophagy works. Autophagy literally recycles all the bad stuff. It'll take damaged protein, guys, and it'll turn it into amino acids so you can rebuild protein. And that's why I've been able to put on muscle is through autophagy. So that's a great question. So I vary it all the time. I usually go around 20 hours before I eat at least. Now, females are different. Okay, if you're still having a menstrual cycle, that's a different ballgame. Thank you, Gary. I got 12 minutes. Now, look at the skin and the difference in this people, right? Look at this. This got no overhanging loose skin. Do you guys see this? Kate, no, I take mine. I wish I'd have known this, Kate. Great question. So when I did my 5-day fast, I drank 3-4 teas a day, okay, to help me get through the days. And then, but if I'd have known this, I would have done the fiber. The fiber doesn't break your fast. I use a CGM, so I'm always measuring my glucose to see how I'm responding to things. I'm not diabetic, okay. I was receiving insulin in the hospital though, and when I was 240 pounds and then sedentary, so hey, Ken, what's up, brother? But yeah, so I measure this all the time, guys. And a CGM will tell you if you're spiking your insulin really high, that's not a good thing, okay? The less you spike it, the better. And also, how long does it take to recover back to normal? That tells you how resistant your cells are to the insulin you're making. Do you follow me? So this, when you fast and go into autophagy, your body recycles all the damaged parts, guys. 482, look at that. Look at that right there, 100. Oh, I'm definitely a partner, 2%, if that's what you're asking, with the company, absolutely. Yeah, once I saw what this did for me and I put people on it, like it's crazy, guys. This is, this company, I tell people, this is Apple before the iPhone, guys. This is Whitney, look at that. Look at that, isn't that crazy? 62 pounds. This is Dr. Brown. I love this woman. I met her this past weekend in Toronto, 2 weekends ago, excuse me. And she wanted to be a pediatrician. And her dad got diagnosed in her 20s with diabetes. So she switched to become an endocrinologist, a hormone doctor, basically a diabetic doctor. And she kind of lost her dream. And she had prediabetes, insulin resistance, the whole shebang. And she started this protocol and now she puts her patients on it. And she got very emotional. She goes, I got my dream back. She says, I've helped more people using this than I ever did with what I was doing traditionally. Look at this husband and wife, guys, getting healthy together. They went from looking like grandparents. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, EBM, you're blowing up your blood sugar with the cream and the sugar. I replaced my coffee with the tea. The tea is all third-party tested, so I know exactly what I'm getting. It's they check it for herbicides, pesticides, mold, mildew, bacteria. Coffee, a lot of times you get a lot of mold in it. Herbicides, pesticides. Look at this guy. He's in his 70s, guys. Look at this. Isn't that crazy? He's putting on muscle and taking off fat. It blows my mind, guys. Psoriasis is gone, right? Some days I do, Rhonda, I eat when I'm hungry. That's the weird thing, guys. You're all programmed to eat like all day long because that's how they make money on you. Ba-da-ba. So eat when you're hungry. You'll totally know. I don't use monk fruit. They're finding some things with it. I don't. I used it in the past. Guys, I'm telling you, honestly, like I don't crave sugar like I used to. This stuff honestly kills it. And so I used to be the carboholic guy. If my wife or somebody was eating pizza, I'd have to eat the whole pizza. I can be sipping on this tea, honestly, and not even like, I'm like, whatever. I won't even eat. Like I'm eating my love handles instead. I've used a little bit of allulose, but I don't use it very often. Yeah, Andrea, sometimes initially, honestly, on the fiber, people may get constipated for a day or two, and that's a sign of detox. What that means is that your body is actually, it's creating the new bacteria and killing off the others. So increase your water to like a half an ounce a day per pound, and add in some pink Himalayan salt. That'll help tremendously with that. I'm sorry. This was my aunt who got diagnosed. They gave her a med to bring down her cholesterol. This is a big reason of my why. God bless her. We buried her last month, but she got put on a cholesterol lowering thing about 15 years ago and immediately became diabetic, type 2. And the reason being is cholesterol makes up your hormones like insulin. So if you can't make insulin, well, you become diabetic, right? So they put her on insulin. And if you're taking insulin injections, guys, your cardiovascular rate triples, your Alzheimer's doubles and cancer's doubles, right? So when this happened to her, I told her, I tried to explain to her about eating whole foods and all this, and she didn't understand it. They put her on metformin. Metformin has a black box label. If you guys don't know that, look it up in the PDR.net, and it's linked to pancreatic cancer, which is what my aunt passed from just last month. Now, another aunt of mine got diagnosed about 20 years ago, and I tried to explain to her the power of eating real food. She couldn't get it, didn't understand. I said, well, when you go in to see your doc, your oncologist, tell them you don't want the sugar solution they're going to give you when they attach it to the dye. She goes, I can do that. So she told the doctor she didn't want the sugar. The doctor said, well, I can't find it. Yeah, Cynthia, this is what I'm teaching you is natural metformin with 0 side effects. And you can even use it with metformin. So this right here, what they do is they take the sugar, they attach it to the radioactive dye, okay? That way when you ingest it and they scan you through a PET scan, they see where it's at, and then they know if cancer is spreading. Does that make sense? If you don't have sugar, cancer doesn't take in this because there's nothing, there's no energy, the cancer doesn't need a dye, right? So why are we telling people to eat whatever they want? Here's another one. They did a study with breast and colorectal cells in a Petri dish. Think of this as a Petri dish. Petri dish means in vitro in the paperwork. Vitro means lab. Vivo means life, like in you and I. Then there's rat and animal studies. When they had in the Petri dish breast and colorectal cells, cancer cells, sugar, and insulin acts like a key, those cancers multiplied. They called it proliferation. Proliferation is like throwing water on Gizmo. Remember Gizmo, the movie Gremlins? And he, right? That's what proliferation means. But as soon as they took insulin, the key to your front door, out, sugar could not enter the cell of the cancer, and the cancer died. How do you keep insulin low? You don't let it get high. How do you do that? You stop eating break fast. First thing in the morning, you sip on this tea. This tea keeps your blood sugar and your insulin low, and when you keep insulin low, the fat's got to go, and foreign invaders can't eat. It creates ketones, which fix your brain, all clinically proven. The brain actually prefers ketones over glucose. It also stimulates BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is like miracle growth for your brain cells to create new brain cells. Thank you, Gary, got 5 minutes. And on top of that, ketones are the only ones in your body that can use ketones are your own cells. And ketones don't need insulin to enter your cells. Ba-da-ba-ba. They've known for over 100 years, Otto Warburg, look it up, the Warburg effect. They've known that cancer needs sugar. He cured Hitler of throat cancer. I'm sorry, what is this stuff? It's right here, brother. Mike, this is where it is. This is my discount link. Sorry, my thing's acting up. So during the live, you'll see a picture of this picture of me, my profile picture, in the top left corner of the live. If you're on your phone or tablet, tap that picture in the top left corner a couple times. It's going to bring you to this page. Once you get to this page, this right here is my discount link. It ends in Dr. Kenny. Click it. You hit buy now. And then I recommend the lemon tea. It's sweetened with stevia. It tastes amazing. And you can choose the orange or the mixed berry. You put it in your cart and you check out. You get it in 2 to 4 days. You're going to be getting information. Yes, it does, Jenny Lynn. Sorry, I missed your question, honey. Yes, I have tons of people without gallbladders using this. They do totally fine. There's no calorie restricting on this, guys. You're not counting calories. You're going to eat until you're full. Once you're done eating, I would recommend going for like a 20-minute walk. That's going to reduce your blood glucose by 35 to 40%. It took you a week. Okay, Kate, that's rare. Usually 2 to 4 days, but thank you, Kate. Yes, they're all vegan. Yep, yes, they are. You're welcome, Jenny Lynn. I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm missing some questions. I'm doing my best. You know, Julie, I haven't tested allulose because if I eat something like that, I eat it when I eat. There's no such thing as a healthy snack. Like, I love almonds, but I don't eat almonds because when you eat, you spike your blood sugar. Ask any diabetic when they eat what happens to their blood sugar, which means you make insulin, which means you store fat. So if you want almonds or you want a piece of allulose, let's say chocolate, eat it at the end of your meal. And if any of the things you're eating, get rid of refined carbs, guys. Get rid of food in a box. If shelf life goes up, your life goes down, okay? Just remember that. They load it with sugar. They walk you through the middle of the place, right? 70+% of all of that stuff has added sugar. Tartar sauce has sugar, fructose in it. Then they walk you by the place to sell you the thing to give you the fix on the way out. I have the thing they already created, the FDA. What's that stand for? Do you guys get it? If there's a health food section in your store, what does that make the rest of the store? Honey will definitely break your fast. I use it, but I don't do it then. You could definitely, Andrina, start your breakfast later. Yes, ma'am. But you'll be surprised. If you're on this protocol, trust me, you can fast for way longer than you ever thought. It's comical. I have people all the time. I don't ever, you know what I mean? I don't want to push him and make him feel uncomfortable, but I just ask you, can you just start with the tea first thing in the morning before you do anything else, before you eat or whatever? They're like, I can do that. And then it's like noon, 1. Sometimes I've had people not eat for days when they start. I was one of those people. I didn't eat for a few days. I peed all day long like a racehorse also, okay? I got 5 minutes, guys, and I got to run. I'll extend it just a little bit, but I got to roll. John Frost, thanks, brother. I mean, this guy, John, in 1 month, he's down, well, a month and a couple days down, what, John, 60 pounds? And your ulcer has completely healed. It took up to 18 months to heal before. And your blood sugar levels have been freaking incredible, right? Nurse Patty, I know you've crushed it. Oh my God, your story's crazy too. Chris, great question. Yes, ma'am. My mom has renal cell carcinoma, kidney cancer. In 2 months, her kidney function went from 23% to 56%. She's down 2 pant sizes. My friend Troy was a stage 4 chronic kidney disease, completely reversed it. I don't know the person, but there is somebody with stage 5 that completely reversed it. I do know of that. You can take it with stage 5. You have to monitor your water intake though, okay? So pregnant women absolutely can do this. We would not have you fast, but absolutely, if I had known this, I would have had my wife doing this, okay, when we were pregnant. But yes, one thing I didn't touch on is estrogen, right? So PCOS, like my wife had, as females, you guys make androgens. This is going to my fist will represent androgens, and then you have aromatase, which is an enzyme that turns this androgen into estrogen. If you're insulin resistant, this aromatase is not present to do the work. So this doesn't convert to estrogen, it turns into testosterone. So men become more masculine, they start to gain beards, they start to lose their hair. This is why my wife had 2 miscarriages at 3 months, because at 3 months, the estrogen has to take over to carry on the pregnancy. So now I know this. This is part of the reason why I come on here to teach you guys this. You know, Trixie, I'm not sure what MCAS, what CNMCAS, I don't know what the acronym means. If you can explain it, I might be able to help. They are vegetarian and vegan, yes. It does help with your adrenals, absolutely. Help with mine. Yeah, good menopause. Oh man, great question. Here, I'll show you some pictures of menopausal. Menopausal ladies are actually easier to work with. And they love you because they get such great results. This lady not only lost 25 pounds, but look at her triglycerides. Down from 460 to 66. Let me see here. I've got a lot of pictures. I forgot to show these to you guys. Let me see if I can do this. Here we go. You've seen that picture. This lady's no longer on oxygen. Her COPD's gone, guys. And that's because once you fix the gut, the theobromine opens up blood vessels. That's in the tea. But once you fix your gut, which this protocol reverses insulin resistance, detoxes the liver, and fixes the gut. Once you do that, your immune system rebalances. And when your immune system rebalances, you stop getting things like asthma and COPD and all these other things. It's just, I have so many of these guys. Sorry, I got a couple minutes and I got to run, but we have so many before and afters and pictures of people, guys. It's hilarious. The products work. They're clinically proven to work. They come with a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's 0 side effects. They're as effective as weight loss meds, blood pressure, cholesterol, and diabetic meds. Wow. Yeah, Kim, you look like a freaking swimsuit model, by the way. She's being very modest. I mean, nor I would. If it were me, I would take it because what happens is what causes coagulation or clumping of blood is sugar. A1C is a measurement of the amount of sugar on your red blood cell. And sugar is caused, buildup is caused by insulin resistance. So if you correct insulin resistance, your cardiovascular risk goes down 80%. Triglycerides reduce. Everything that you want in your blood work to change changes by doing that. I hope that helps. Where is Mauritius Island? Is that in the Caribbean? I know some places can ship. I know I've got people in the Caribbean taking it, but they have to ship it to somewhere down in South Florida, and they have a box in there. Antigua. Oh, I've not been to Antigua yet. I can't wait. No, it's not pre-recorded, Derek. I don't do that. I eat red meat all the time, Saggy. I try to get it. I try to get grass-fed, grass-finished, non-hormone, organic if I can. Obviously, from local, farmers. What I try and do. TM Gill, right? TM Gill. If you understand what I'm talking about, I would. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a lifestyle. I've had people that stopped taking the protocol, like the lady I showed you who lost 38 pounds. She stopped, and then her depression came back, and the weight started coming back. And she goes, I was even saving money when I was doing it. I don't know why I stopped. I'm like, I don't either. Do we all brush our teeth every day? Why? So we don't get cavities. And we don't stop brushing them if we get a cavity, right? I mean, but what's really causing your cavities isn't a lack of brushing. It's actually insulin resistance causing sugar. That Weston Price figured that out almost 100 years ago. He's like the world's renowned dentist, but they wanted to bury it. So there's no money in the healing, guys. Check this out. 90% of all chronic disease is caused by one thing. This is why you don't know about it. They call it metabolic syndrome, right? No good tree bear bad fruit, right? Right there in the middle is insulin resistance. All of those things are linked to this. So if you get rid of that, all those other things go away. So if I call it metabolic syndrome, but you don't know it's linked to insulin. If you live in Texas, I drop you off in Arkansas, blindfolded, you don't know where you're at, and then you got to get to Disney World. How do you get there if you don't know where you're starting? You guys follow? You guys, man. And don't forget, we got science calls, I forgot to tell you, on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. They're phenomenal, where we have world-class, make sure you join us over on Peak Performance Protocol over on FB. That's another phenomenal place, guys, that we're part of. It's right here, Peak Performance Protocol. Every one of you should join that. Invite your family and friends so they can learn. If you would like the science call information, let me know. If you would like to join me in what I'm doing, guys, please let me know that too. Reach out to me. I'm constantly working with people, helping them duplicate what we're doing and saving lives. It's so gratifying. It is completely good, Kamar. I mean, we have people without a thyroid. Okay, like Jimmy was the one I was sharing with you guys. He doesn't have a thyroid. He lost 88 pounds doing this. Reverse erectile dysfunction, type 2 diabetes, off cholesterol meds, no longer fatty liver, blood pressure back to normal. Yes. I've done some in the past, but honestly, when I do this, Chris, I mean, those parasites need sugar. So once you control this, they start dying off. It's really funny. One's a T and one's a fiber matrix in Christ. Man, Jenny Lynn, I would recommend just join Facebook just so you can get in the group. And just don't be active on Facebook. There's so much great information on there for you. It's a great community. You could, Rosie, I'd just be careful. I mean, just make sure there's nothing in it, right? Like no carbs, nothing that's going to spike your blood sugar, which would spike your insulin. That'll break your fast. Paul, I don't use either one. I use this tea, which actually suppresses cortisol. The tea has theobromine, which trumps epinephrine. Coffee creates epinephrine. And that's what causes the jitter and the cortisol, the ramping up of the energy. So, hope that helps, brother. The tea is a chlorogenic acid extract. It's a Yerba mate extract. It's patented and it's got 375 times the amount of chlorogenic acid in it than any yerba mate tea. It's crazy. It's all third party tested. We're in 63 countries. There's nothing like it, guys. I actually have people trying to go buy yerba mate tea and use it, and then they start this. They're like, why didn't I just freaking do it? I'm like, I don't know. You listen to what your body's craving, right? I usually do a lot of eggs. I do 4 eggs, sunny side up, and grass-fed butter, some local bacon, and half an avocado, sometimes a salad with it. I love eating that way. That's kind of like a nutrient fast, high in proteins and fats, won't break your fast, keeps your insulin low, so you kind of keep fasting through it. So, Peak Performance Protocol. That's the page. Oh, are you serious? Bucky, that's weird. Click out, click back in, brother. And then if you have trouble, Bucky, you can always... Ladies and gentlemen, I got to go. I got an appointment. I got to run, but it's been amazing. I'll be back here tomorrow around the same time in the morning. So probably about 8 a.m., 7:30, somewhere in that neighborhood. So turn on your notifications. If you guys love the content material, please take the information, share it with your family and friends. You never know whose life you're going to touch and change, that's for sure. And someone saved my life with this, and I'm trying to do the same for others, man. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for the love. Kimmer, you're so welcome. God bless everybody. Enjoy your Sunday. I'm trying to get better at resting. I'm trying to do more of the Lord's work and listen to what he tells me and to rest. And I've been burning the candle at both ends, traveling and speaking, so it's been a lot, but it's been totally worth it. And the lives that we're changing is worth everything, man. So when you're getting messages every day, you saved my life. That's what life's about. So make it a great day. Thank you guys, and have a blessed day.